It should not surprise us that even before he's getting into his second term of office, Donald is attempting to control the free media, which he has infamously dubbed the enemy of the people. He has vowed to go after much of the media, from corporate to independent media in his second term, threatening to jail journalists, revoke broadcast licenses, and target outlets with lawsuits. None of this is new. Back in 2016, when Donald was still the Republican candidate for the presidency, Leslie Stahl asked him why he attacked the media, and he responded this way, quote, "You know why I do it? I do it to discredit you all and demean you all. So when you write negative stories about me, no one will believe you." There have been death by 1,000 cuts since then, attacking journalists from all angles, discrediting their reporting, applying pressure on media owners to induce self-censorship, launching legal challenges, and leveraging wealthy allies to buy up media outlets to turn them into government mouthpieces. Sound familiar, Twitter? Remember how Donald spoke to reporters in his first term? This is absolutely chilling. Watch this clip.
I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President,
that's
enough. I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Mr. President, that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic. I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either. So
I understand.
To be honest,
over the course
of just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people.
Yeah, America, you should be ashamed of yourself that we once again put that thug, that pouting, temper tantrum throwing, rude toddler anywhere near the levers of power. Now here we are. I worry for reporters like Jim Acosta who actually stand their ground. And we now know that Donald has filed a $10 billion, that's billion with a B, dollar lawsuit against CBS.
Donald Trump is suing the US news network CBS for $10 billion, alleging that an interview it featured with Kamala Harris on the 60 Minutes show was misleading. The suit filed by the Republican Party presidential nominee accuses CBS of editing Harris's response to make it seem more coherent. CBS have firmly denied the allegations.
And they put it up, and they replaced an answer that would show that she's not qualified cognitively, as I would like to say. I think she should take a cognitive test.
Okay, speaking of cognitive tests, listen. This is absurd, and it is just a power play. First of all, I'm not sure why he's suing them. If indeed CBS was altering an interview to help Kamala Harris, which would be a campaign contribution, an in-kind campaign contribution, didn't work, but that's also not at all what they did. Interviews get edited for length and flow and clarity all of the time. But again, this is just another way to put his boot on the neck of media outlets that do not do his bidding. He has filed another $10 billion lawsuit against publisher Penguin Random House. So we are going to see more and more lawsuits like this. I guess $10 billion is his new favorite number. It used to be $100 million. I guess he's just going to account for the massive amounts of inflation that are going to be triggered when he starts imposing his tariffs at the end of January. Donald is also creating a task force to control all media. Meet Donald's choice for the Federal Communications Commission FCC chairman, Brendan Carr. Carr, who is on the committee already, has laid out an aggressive agenda for the FCC in Project 2025. Remember that? That's the fascist playbook that now will be enacted by the incoming Trump administration. And Carr has vowed to take on what he calls the quote unquote censorship cartel that includes Facebook, Google, Apple, and Microsoft. Notice which social media platform is not on that list. Carr hopes to position the regulatory agency to do battle against social media companies and TV broadcasters that Republicans portray as quote unquote too liberal, which is code for anybody who tries to stand up to and report factually on Donald Trump. Carr also wishes to revoke Section 230 of the SEC guidelines, which protects platforms from liability for users' content, but also for removing certain categories of content. For example, COVID and election disinformation and hate speech. Where the current administration FCC chair is focused on expanding access, Carr is aligning with Donald in terms of going after licenses, which is unprecedented and potentially fatal to a free press, which is the fourth estate upon which democracy must be founded. And then we have Elon Musk, who is buddies with Carr. In August, the FCC ruled in its current incarnation and under its current chair that Musk's Starlink satellite internet service would not receive almost $900 million in subsidies to get thousands of rural U.S. homes and businesses online. Not because they have some kind of vendetta against Elon Musk and his companies, but because Starlink did not have the capability to do what it was going to be paid to do. Brendan Carr is now gunning for Elon to receive those subsidies anyway.
Yeah, look, again, we have program requirements that they weren't scheduled to have to meet until 2025, and the FCC was making a prediction about whether Starlink would or would not meet that. At the end of the day, they said Starlink is not a trustworthy technology. But again, that conclusion doesn't really make sense because at this current moment, we have components of the federal government entering into multi-million-dollar contracts using Starlink for very important high-speed connections. And so I think this is one where, again, you have to refer back to this broader level of regulatory harassment, as the Wall Street Journal put it, to find a real explanation for what's going on here.
Yeah, because Brendan Carr is an objective assessor of the facts here. Anyway, having him as chair of the SEC will be deleterious to the media's efforts to get the American people the facts they need to understand what is going on in the government. We've also learned in the wake of the election that the Twitter algorithm was altered to benefit Republicans and hurt Democrats in advance of the election. So much for the neutral town square argument. How could anyone who works on this platform expect Democrats to want to engage if it's designed to help Trump? Insanity. That is a quote from Harry Sisson on Twitter. The study to which Sisson is referring is a Twitter bias study, and the findings were quite clear. The analysis found a quote structural break for Musk's metrics around July 13th, 2024, following which his view counts increased by 138.27% and retweets increased by over 237%, with a similarly large increase for his other favorites. This was far in excess of other accounts that were monitored. We see that these attempts to control the media are already being successful. This wasn't shocking exactly because I don't think we could expect any better from Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. But after years of calling Donald a fascist and a danger to American democracy, the hosts of Morning Joe bent the knee and visited Donald at Mar-a-Lago and then actually told people about it. Check out this clip.
Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit.
Joe and I realized it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
Why? Why wouldn't we sit down and have tea and crumpets with Adolf Hitler? I don't know. Maybe because you have a job to do, and going to see Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago sends a very clear message. I mean, it is just gobsmacking that those two fake journalists are given 5 hours every morning from Monday to Friday to carry water for the incoming fascist regime. But hey, at least they're going to still be able to cash their checks. Right, guys? And then, of course, we have the Washington Post continuing to do its Washington Post things. As we know, Jeff Bezos broke with 36 years of tradition and ordered the editorial board not to endorse a presidential candidate. And that's because the editorial board was going to endorse Kamala Harris. And now the Post is hosting a media summit on Thursday, spotlighting preferred voices. Elevating Preferred Voices, a global women's summit, and you'll never guess. Well, you will, because you see the clip right there. They are spotlighting Lara Trump and Kellyanne Conway. Way to go, guys. Just another reminder, and we are getting many of these every day. Please support independent media. We really, really need to turn the page on the kinds of corporate legacy traditional media outlets that are doing everything in their power to undermine our democracy instead of strengthening it, which is really what their mandate was in the first place. Hey, everybody. In case you weren't aware, I am spectacularly bad at self-promotion. So here goes. Please subscribe to our channel and like and share our videos. Your support means so much to all of us. Thank you.